Global Broadcasting Networks presents Military Mom Talk Radio. We know behind every soldier, sailor, airman, and Marine is the family supporting them. With over 200 episodes in 17 countries, over 5 seasons, with 3 million monthly listeners, we are radio strong. Now here are your hosts, Sandra, Beck, and Robin Boyd.
Hey ladies, this is Sandra Beck and I'm here with Robin Boyd, and we've got a jam-packed show today. We are going to talk first with Marcella Stretch of PODS, that's Parents of Deployed Service Members, and we're going to talk about the cool things that they're doing and the neat way that they make care packages. And then we're going to move on to Lawanda Holliman. She's a retired colonel, and she's also a single mom and raised her girls and had, a wonderful military career, now civilian career. So we're really excited to talk to her, Rob, so she can talk about, some of the things that roles women play and provide comfort and validation and support for our military women today, both the women that are serving active duty or retired, or the women that love our active duty servicemen and women. So it's, we're just covering the whole gamut today.
Absolutely. And I think it is so important that we do have these resources. So many that are home while their loved ones are serving have some challenges as far as not only maintaining the day-to-day, but maybe they're the ones that have to go out and find those extra jobs. And I know Lawanda is really good at helping us know how to put our best foot forward, I guess you could say. Wouldn't you say that would be about the size of it?
I would think so. But without further ado, I'd like to get to Marcella Stretch because we do have a busy show today. Marcella, welcome to the show.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you for having me today.
Oh, it's always a delight to have you on. And for those of you that don't know Marcella Stretch and Parents of Deployed Service Members, Marcella, can you tell us a little bit about your group?
Yes, my group started in the year of 2009 when my son was deployed to Iraq. And once he deployed to Iraq, I worked with, started communicating with other parents who were going through deployment. And from that, we started a group with 6 members, and now we're over 2,150 members. And with that, we work together, we talk together, we encourage each other, we go through the whole process of deployment, pre-deployment, deployment, and post-deployment. We do everything together. We keep each other, grounded so that we can all be, sound and supportive of our troops when they come home and while they're away.
And yours is a very individual group. One of the things I like about it, Rob, and you've been in the group as well, is, you can post something at 2:00 in the morning about how you feel, not giving away troop secrets or not, getting, too personal, and 25 people will rush to support you or to share with you their experiences. It's really an active, cool group.
Yes, indeed. And we there for each other for, especially when they come home, because coming home is, that integration, that reintegration process is a long process. There's no time limit on that process of being, reintegrated with being home.
And one of the things go ahead, Sam.
No, go ahead, Rob. No, you go.
Well, what I was going to say is one of the things that is so special about your group is the fact that you gather everybody's efforts together to make sure that we're remembering everyone who is over there. So it's not just mom sending over a card or the wife sending over a card. It's a whole lot of extended friends and family that are sending things over, which brings us to one of the reasons why we wanted you here today was to share what you have been doing with for Valentine's Day.
Yes, we just completed our Valentine's Day care package drive. We just did a drive where we sent male and female troops Valentine care packages. And what we did was we created these boxes of care package boxes with the Valentine theme on them. And with that theme, that way when they first open up that box, the first thing they'll do is see something that will, warm their hearts connected to Valentine's Day. We decorate the whole entire box from the inside. And when they, they have all their little goodies and their candies and their sweethearts. And we also pack enough in the boxes that they can share with their other, troops that's along with them.
Well, and that's the one thing, like, I encourage everybody to go, like, the easiest place that I find to see samples of these boxes are on Pinterest. So if you type in care, package, box, decoration on Pinterest, or you can go to Google and they come up too, you can see, like, there's one thing here that says, like, 10 things I miss about you. And each of the inside flaps of the boxes in the bottom have some military theme, looks like contact paper or wallpaper or, just print out paper for scrapbooks. It's a great way to use your old scrapbook paper. But then there's like little flaps. They look like business cards, that you lift up. And it's really, you just make them with tape. And underneath that, you could write the 10 things that I miss about you. It makes the box so much more fun. I would be so sad to have to throw these boxes away.
Yes, they are so beautiful, very beautiful. And we also planning to do the same thing for St. Patrick's Day. If anybody would like to, get in touch with us to receive a name to send a deployed troop a St. Patty's Day care package box.
See, and it's so great.
And who isn't Irish on St. Patrick's Day?
Well, there you go, Rob. I'm in here on Pinterest looking at it. You make a superhero box. There's the Easter care package. They glued all the Easter grass to the perimeter of the box and put little eggs in there. There's a little one sending you a box of sunshine, and there's all yellow candies like Lay's potato chips, Burt's Bees, a Minion. You can really go bananas and have a lot of fun and get your kids involved.
Yes, we also have some school teachers involved where they allow their elementary school students to actually create boxes and have them sent off. And I heard they was actually adding Girl Scout cookies to the box.
There you go.
I was going to bring that up.
Yeah, well, and this is a wonderful thing. Like, when I look at this, I always look at reuse, recycle. You can save, a lot of the Valentines you get or the Easter cards you get. You save them for next year, slice off the back, and glue them to the inside of the box. Like that would be a really thrifty, way to decorate the inside of the box and reuse what we already have. Nobody's saying you have to go out and, spend a lot of money or purchase a lot of things because a box to ship to our troops is approximately how much? I know it's like $12 or something like that for Operation Gratitude. What does a typical box cost to ship to a service member?
I know it's under $15 per box.
Yeah, so if you can, reuse some things and still make it super cute, you can do this without breaking the bank, is what I'm trying to say.
That is an excellent idea.
Yeah, I'm chock full of them. Kids' homework, glue it, stick it, make a card out of it, you name it. Because especially, Rob, you were an elementary school teacher. So much stuff comes home.
So much comes home, but and it's also those wonderful things. I think sometimes when kids are a little bit antsy, and if there's a February vacation coming up for those of you who do have February vacations, sometimes it's those, they get antsy. It's Tuesday and they start getting antsy. So you want something for them to do, and at least if they have a purpose, you say, why don't you just go out and draw? Why don't you go out and draw for a friend who is overseas? If you give that, add that extra purpose, that does give some incentive to our little ones, and that makes a difference.
Well, and there's two things on here that I just want to share. There's one that was made with just yellow paint and black electrical tape. They made a Batman box, and they just the kids made Batman stickers out of the black tape, and they, he wrote, Robin is red, Nightwing is blue, rhyming is hard. But, they'll love this. And the turkey package is super cute, too. They just took some little, regular paints, Rob, and the top flap has googly eyes, the kind that you buy at the store, that you wiggle around. And then they just painted feathers on the open flap. You know what I mean? Like, just painted like you would those handprint turkeys, and they glued a pair of feet just made out of construction paper on the bottom, and that's the Thanksgiving care package. I mean, you can go nuts. I mean, what a great snow day project.
Marcella, I know frequently people do send, and I think this is one of the nice reminders, is that everybody's very gung-ho around the holidays to send things over, but are not realizing that there are still shipments being made throughout the whole year.
Yes, and we try to ship boxes every month. We add different things, but we try to focus on trying to get boxes out every month, especially, during their birthdays. If we know exactly when a deployed service member is having a birthday, we try to, send them as many cards as possible from all over the United States.
That's wonderful. Now, we're getting close to the end of this segment, Marcella, and I do want people to know exactly how to reach you, whether they want to participate or support you. Either way, we'd love for them to find you. How do they do that?
They can find me two ways. They can find me under Parents of Deployed Service Members on Facebook, or they can find me by my whole name, Marcella Stretch. I'm the only Marcella Stretch on Facebook.
Oh, we love that. You are unique.
Yes.
And that's wonderful. Marcella, thank you so much for being here, but also thank you from all of us for the amazing work that you do. Everyone appreciates all of the effort that you have done to coordinate this marvelous group, so thank you.
Thank you, and I also want to thank all my admins for being right there by my side.
Oh, it's an effort. We've got lots more ahead. Stay with us on Military Mom Talk Radio.
If you're ready for a big change in your work, your career, your happiness, your life, it's time for the $1 Million Mindset with Marla Tabaka. Monday afternoons at 2, 1 Central on TogiNet.com. Marla believes that with the right mindset, anything is possible. Join us as successful life coach Marla Tabaka inspires you and her clients to explore, discover, and live your dreams by developing what she calls the $1 Million Mindset. Marla will inspire you to take action on your dreams and reveal secrets to success that will help you realize your own unique power. Tune into the $1 Million Mindset for heartwarming stories with Marla Tabaka. Learn tips and tricks to building a successful business and unlock the secrets to creating a happier, more balanced life through abundant thinking and attraction power. For more information on the $1 Million Mindset, go to our website, marlatabaka.com. That's MarlaTabaka.com. It's the $1 Million Mindset with Marla Tabaka. Monday afternoons at 2, 1 p.m. Central on TogiNet.com.
It's words you never heard.
The traditional American breakfast, including fried eggs, bacon, toast, and potatoes, must seem really heavy to the rest of the world. When my husband and I were in the Amazon, our breakfast consisted of crocodile, deep-fried piranha, and bananas. I can assure you, I ate pretty lightly. For breakfast in Russia, some people enjoy a spoonful of jam in their tea. Now that sounds yummy. What's a word for a person who loves jam? A poziwala. What's another word for weak tea? Whack-rowdy-dow. Salamagundi was originally an English dish of chopped meat, anchovies, and eggs, garnished with onions, lemon juice, oil, and condiments. Mornings at our house are too hectic to go to all that trouble for breakfast. I'm scrambling just to get some eggs on the table.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
We're back with more great conversation on Military Mom Talk Radio.
Hey, ladies, this is Sandra Beck, and we're here, and I think we've got our lines crossed. If that's, I hear somebody talking on our lines today, so we're just going to keep talking and hope that they hang up, because I don't think they want their private call on Military Mom Talk Radio. Yeah, that's great. Well, you know, Rob, when we were on break, I Googled the top most requested gifts for care packages, and the FunTimesGuide.com has a soldier package thing. And, you know, it had a lot of the stuff that we already knew, you know, coffee, Gatorade, Jawbreakers, poker cards, you know, playing cards, dice, music CDs, toothpaste. But the one thing that I saw in here, two things that were kind of cool. Number one was Ziploc bags. And then the other one was those little packets that you pick up like at the pizza place, like you go to like Pizza Hut, and you get the little spiced crushed red pepper, and those little packets. Not that we're asking you to rip off the local establishments, but one or two isn't going to hurt to go in a care package. But you might even ask your next time you go to get a pizza, hey, could we have 10 or 15 for a care package that's going overseas to the troops? But what a great idea! Those little, the MREs are usually so bad, and this is so cool. Like you could just sprinkle it on top and give it a little kick.
I think that's great. And what establishment wouldn't want to be a part of that? I just think that that's a great idea.
Well, and those little condiment things. And, I'm going to open up the conversation to Lawanda Holliman, because as a service member, and she's a retired colonel, I would imagine that she got a few care packages in her day. Lawanda, welcome to the show.
Thank you. And oh my gosh, I was excited listening to Marcella talk about the care packages, because one thing we did love was receiving care packages, especially. Yeah. Now, I will tell you, hot sauce, that Tabasco sauce was a big winner.
Was it?
What Tabasco sauce does, it sometimes will mask the flavor, right? So I heard someone mention MREs and how delicious they are. Sometimes to make them even more enjoyable, you just couldn't get enough Tabasco sauce to help it out.
Yeah. I know Steven said he carried Tabasco sauce too. That was the only way to get through them.
Well, if you guys are near a Winco, like Rob, I don't know if you have Winco up north, but Marcella, I know, or I'm sorry, Lawanda, I know you guys have them in the south, and the southeast. Winco Foods. If you go to their bulk section, many times they have MREs that they're selling, and they sell them for like 79 cents, and you can pick them up. And I did this so I could show my kids what it is like what it tastes like. And I brought some into the classroom, and they're horrified. But it's fun. What do you remember? Some of your favorite items that were sent to you while you were overseas, Lawanda?
Some of the favorites were things like deodorant, your basic necessities, those that you need that you never get enough of, handy wipes, and types of that keep in the desert, as you can imagine. There's sand all over the place, and so those were some of our favorites. At least my crew. We like the handy wipes. We like the things that you pour in your water bottles to add flavor to them. And of course, Tabasco sauce was always nice. If you bring something to your room, you could have that to season it up a little bit.
What about, coffee or canned food items? I mean, are those just a big pain to deal with, or are they, I think of the little ramen or the little macaroni and cheese cups, those things that we use for our kids' lunches?
Yeah, that can be a little bit bulky depending on where you're going and what you're doing. Something that's flat, easy to put someplace in your and travel with is always best. So, but when you think about those round bowls that would need to go into, that could be difficult if you've got to move around.
Right.
So,
but you look at your drink pouches, those little things, they're like, the size of a small eraser. You could pop one of those into your pocket if you needed to. But so to keep in mind that things that create bulk to carry around might not be the best things in the world to send.
Right. Exactly.
Now, what about, sending, sometimes they see lists for shoelaces, for gym shoes and boots, brown t-shirts, boot socks, underwear. Is that weird?
It depends on where you are. I would say for where some of the locations, the remote locations, that might not be so weird because they wear out so fast. And just to have extra that you could roll up and put in your rucksack is always nice to have that. Typically, soldiers have what they need in that respect. It just depends.
Yeah.
that might not be the greatest of answers, but it really does just depend.
Well, and if you don't know necessarily, if you're participating in a program where you're not really sure where the package is going, putting in like microwave popcorn. I mean, there's not, there might be places that you don't have microwave popcorn. It's not like you can go, oh, yum, let's open it and eat it uncooked.
Exactly. Depends on where they are, and typically, it's always nice to receive packages. The thing is that sometimes it's just not convenient to have certain items. They're just not conducive for the mission.
Sure. So, Rob, do you have any comments?
Well, no, I mean, I'm listening. I didn't want to interrupt. I'm wondering, of course, are things a little bit different now, Lawanda, than say, well, of course, in Stephen's day, he'd be gone for months at a time versus some of the tours that might be a little bit shorter or at least not as remote as perhaps military people had to endure years ago. I'm just thinking socks, even though they were issued X number of pairs of socks, that didn't mean that was going to get them through their whole tour, because if you were either in someplace very wet and damp or someplace very cold, that's going to certainly, you're going to wear through those. Do you find that replenishment of supplies happens a little more readily, or is that still pretty variable, Lawanda?
Let me say it this way. I think that you can never go wrong having extra.
Yeah.
That's always nice to have because, like you said, you don't know if it's going to be raining, if it's good, what's going to happen.
Or your buddy might need a pair.
Yeah, correct. Sure.
Exactly. They could just, anything is possible when you're out in the desert and you're out in those conditions. So it's always nice to get those things that are you can easily roll it and pack it and store it in that rucksack and go. So anything of that nature, the T-shirts, the socks, the handy wipes and the Ziploc bags, believe it or not, those keep things dry. So
yeah.
If it's raining, you can put your items inside of that, especially your undergarments. You don't want them getting wet, and so those things do come in handy. So, but getting back to your question, though, as far as how things change, they stay the same.
Now, I'm having a hard time hearing her, Rob. So until we get Lawanda back, let's talk a little bit more about these great ideas that are, found in these packages. Beef jerky, we've got mints, those wouldn't take up much room. And, those little teeny toothpaste, like the little single toothpaste, you know what I'm talking about? And the,
Sure.
I'm thinking like on here, people requested Pringles chips. They're kind of hard to roll up and not crunch in your, in your rucksack. But, those cereal bars have to be pretty good. They're pretty tiny. And then batteries. That was another thing that people were asking for, D size and AA. So I don't know if we have Lawanda back, what those would be used for, unless they're, for different players or flashlights.
Right.
True.
Definitely. Can you hear me?
Oh, there you go. Now you're back.
Okay. Yeah, definitely the batteries are good because you want to be able to see at night. Sometimes your battery helps. So those are always nice to have. Everything you mentioned that I was able to hear were good items. I mean, it's always so nice to get something when you don't have it readily at your fingertips. So,
how old were your girls? Were you deployed when your girls were small?
I was. My daughters were at the time. They were 9 and 10 years old.
Ooh.
Yes. It was, and at that time we didn't really have an opportunity to Skype. Our connectivity was not that great. I understand now, depending on where you are, you can you can Skype with your family and that kind of thing.
I would think, too, it'd be kind of fun to send over stamps and maybe some cards for children so that service members could send those back to their family. They may not have ample stamps readily available unless you send them over.
Great point. Yes, that is true. That is true.
Yeah, we have a break coming up, and we're going to continue our conversation with Lawanda. Lawanda Holliman is a retired military officer and preeminent corporate etiquette and international protocol consultant. Protocol. The military is just totally filled with protocol, so I'm sure that's job security right there, Lawanda. We're just thrilled to have her, and lots of information that we get from Lawanda, because it is our way of sort of connecting and giving us that information that we might not quite remember or put in its place. So we're glad to have Lawanda here today. If you would like to see more of Lawanda, visit her website, everythingetiquetteandyou.com. There's a great wealth of information here, so we hope that you tune into that and be able to meet Lawanda. But we'll have more with her right after this break here on Military Mom Talk Radio. We'd love to hear from you. Check us out at militarymomtalkradio.com or find us on Twitter and Facebook. Our shows are available on iTunes anytime from 0-100 hours to 23:59. For now, stay right where you are. There's more Military Mom Talk Radio after these messages.
It's Marching in Reverse.
Well, the U.S. sure has experienced torrential thunderstorms, lightning, and flooding recently. Thunderstorms, otherwise known as cockeyed bobs, can be pretty scary. What's the fear of thunder and lightning called? Astrophobia. Years ago, Roy Sullivan, a Virginia Park ranger, was struck by lightning 7 different times and lived to tell about it. Lightning struck his head through his hat, set his hair on fire, and burned his eyebrows off. The current from the lightning traveled through both legs and blew his shoes off. The final lightning bolt hit him while fishing, and he was hospitalized for chest and stomach burns. Believe it or not, Roy Sullivan managed to recover from 7 lightning strikes, but later died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound as a result of loneliness, otherwise known as azygophrenia.
It's Marching in Reverse.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
Have you heard? The pages of American Patchwork and Quilting magazine come to life on our new weekly online radio show, American Patchwork and Quilting. Join Pat Sloan, our blogging and quilt designer host, as she talks about the latest trends, ideas, and inspirations. Her guests include quilt pattern designers, authors, quilt shop owners, and our editors, all quilters, just like you. Call in with your questions. Get quilting tips from industry experts. Learn about free patterns. Hear behind-the-scenes stories from our magazines, American Patchwork and Quilting, Quilt Sampler, and Quilts and More. Get the scoop on free stuff and find out more about the best independent quilt shops in North America. To listen to a live show, tune in Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern. Just log on to allpeoplequilt.com/radio. To hear past shows, go to iTunes and search for American Patchwork and Quilting Radio. We hope you'll join us because we know that quilting changes everything.
We're back with more great conversation on Military Mom Talk Radio.
Hey ladies, this is Sandra Beck and this is Military Mom Talk Radio, and we are visiting today, Robin Boyd and I, with Lawanda Holliman. Now she is a retired colonel, and when she was deployed, her girls were 9 and 10 years old. So I'm really excited to hear about how they coped with certain things. But before we get to that, I want to introduce you guys to Bark Post, like barking dog, like BARKPOST. Anyone who has had a dog impact their lives. We had Chicken Nugget Rob that came in and really turned around a lot of the issues, especially for one of my sons in our divorce. He really provided like exceptional service. And so, I love dogs, and, I like to honor our dogs. And there is actually a nonprofit organization that has been sending care packages to U.S. military dogs all over the world since 2003, the United States War Dog Association, Inc. And the president is Ron Aiello, and packages, he said, are sent year round. Now, you can send specific items to them. You can also make a contribution by donating to them for the shipping. But here's what they need. And this is something, if you are a pet store owner and you've got some junk in the back that nobody's using, it might be a good thing to take the tax deduction and donate these items, get them off your shelf. Canine cooling mats, nail clippers, brushes and combs, Kongs, those are those big heavy duty chew toys, cooling vests, doggles, the little doggy goggles, collapsible nylon dog water bowls, dog shampoo if you've got stuff that's taking up space in your store, canine salves, toothpaste and toothbrushes, and the salves for paws and noses, and then dog treats made in the U.S. only. So how cool is this? And, we can all make a difference. I know there's stuff laying around in stores. I see it all the time. And, for them to take the tax deduction and ship it out and have it used and have it go to a great cause, everybody wins.
That's fantastic. And we don't think of that as being a necessity. And my goodness, those service animals are definitely a part of our team. So we want to make sure we take care of them too.
Absolutely.
Now, Lawanda, you had both girls, right? You got 9 and 10-year-old girls. And
right.
Were you divorced at the time?
I was actually newly divorced at the time and had to move my daughters in with my sister in another state. And so that was very difficult for us because I was a mama bear. And I was used to having my daughters with me, and having to leave them was one of the most challenging things. In fact, my oldest daughter is in college, and my youngest is about to go off to college in June. Well, she graduates in June. But we were just talking the other day about some of the most difficult things that I've ever had to do in my life. And at the top of the list was when I had to deploy and leave them behind. And we made it through that, though.
Now, I can take you back to that time. What were some of the feelings? So much of what we do on this show, Lawanda, we can't fix things, we can't change things, but we can validate. Mm-hmm. I know you're serving your country, but it had to be such a conflict in your heart, or was it you were just easy to put them in different boxes? I know we're all different.
Right. Yeah. I can say, let me be the first to validate women who may feel guilty, who may feel like I am not fulfilling my role as a mother to my child by leaving her behind. My saving grace was that I knew that they were in good hands. They were with my sister, and my mom and dad and my brother were not far away. And so that was what gave me comfort. At the same time, I still felt it's like your heart walking around outside of your body is the way I heard it described before. And when you can't even see them and you don't know what's going on with them every day, when you're used to hearing their stories and what happened at school, or you're taking them to school and you're with them, and just the very presence with you. I felt guilty about that.
Was it harder, Lawanda, if you were to hear the day-to-day, or was it better for you to hear the day-to-day? I can only imagine you're in a stressful situation because of your job responsibility. You can't be focusing on the girls were fighting last night and you weren't there to help, the sister bickering. Was it easier for you to hear the day-to-day, or more difficult?
Let me say this. Anytime, I think putting things in a box is something that will happen, because in order to do your job and to focus on what you're there to do, you do have to limit the distractions in your life. Now, I'm not being cold when I say that, because I always thought about my daughters every single day. At the same time, I learned over time how to be focused on that mission, because that's important and that was critical as well. So it became an issue when I came back and having to bridge that gap for them, because at that young age, what I didn't do so well as a parent, and what I would much rather women learn to do, is to help their children really understand that mommy is trying to make this world a safer and better place for you, and this is how I do it. And draw them at an age-appropriate level into the discussion, so that they understand that what you're doing is really important work and it's going to help make things better. And communication. I think, though, I did get to talk to my daughters during the week. And we didn't have a lot of time, but I could talk to them. So that was good for me to be able to hear their voices. That helped me to stay focused on my mission, because I knew they were okay.
Well, and that's something, I'm just going to chime in here, Lawanda, that, and I know yours is an extreme case because you're hundreds of thousands of miles away. But that's something every divorced parent has to go through a lot of times at some point. Like if you're in a high conflict divorce like I am, there were times when my ex just refused to let me speak to my children for 4 days, a week at a time. And, it was very hard for me to focus on work, and my kids were just across town. I wasn't across the world trying to navigate this. I think that that's something that we all have to learn to deal with, in a divorce situation where there's joint custody, but yours just adds another layer on top of that. Like, I had such compassion for you when you were speaking, because I remember how I felt when my ex wouldn't let me speak to my children, and how distracting that was, but that could cost you your life.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. And, unfortunately, they didn't, my ex-husband is now deceased. So that added, I was still in the military when that happened, and that added a whole different dynamic to things, because, anytime I was gone, they did not stay with him. And so we even had to deal with, well, why didn't we stay with Dad and
Sure.
when you left, and that kind of thing. So there's so many dynamics that go on. And I think the one takeaway with all of it is to, at an age-appropriate level, really communicate what's going on with the children, because they know a lot more than we think. And as a mama bear, you don't want them involved in adult situations where they're placed in an adult role. But at the same time, you want them to understand why.
Well, and that gives them, I will come in here and I will buzz in and say, that gives them a lot of peace of mind. I have worked very hard. I go to a counselor every week, Lawanda, who helps me with the languaging. She talks to me about, this is the way you explain it to a 9-year-old. This is the way you explain it to, a 12-year-old. My kids have not only been through a very ugly divorce, but there's, their grandmother died in the middle after a long-term battle with breast cancer, and then their stepbrother died in a drunk driving. He had a drunk driving accident and, killed his best friend. So there were, big issues going on here that I was not at all prepared to handle. So I reached out through my health insurance program and found a counselor who I could say, like, what do you say with these things? And I'm sure you had those moments where you're like, how do I answer this?
Absolutely. And counseling, and more counseling. So, yes, we did counseling. And a lot of people just don't want to talk about that, because they think, oh, I'm not strong if I have to go to counseling. I have this. I got it. But sometimes we just need help from someone who's not in the situation to help us navigate through it. And I certainly utilize counseling services, and they have that for the military as well.
Oh, of course they do. They do. And we're going to demystify counseling, because I had a lot of really wrong perceptions about what counseling was and how it could help my family. And Lawanda, I would love for, in the next segment, for us to talk about demystifying some of this stuff.
Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. We have to embrace sometimes the unknown and those uncomfortable feelings that we have, and certain stigmas attached to certain things, so that we can move forward.
It's true. And I think so many times we do need that objective person to be able to look at a situation, because so many times you're so wrapped up in something that just being able to either give yourself permission to let these feelings out, or give yourself permission to be angry, or give yourself those permissions. That's where somebody is able to say, okay, you're on the right track. This is great. And this is going to make your relationship stronger. It's so hard to have a long distance relationship domestically, let alone if someone is that far away. So we'll definitely go on with that a little bit more on the other side of the break. We're here today with Lawanda Holliman. So grateful for her time and her expertise and her wonderful knowledge to help us be better spouses, be better support to our wonderful servicemen. We'll be back in a moment. We've got lots more ahead. Stay with us on Military Mom Talk Radio.
If you're ready for a big change in your work, your career, your happiness, your life, it's time for the $1 Million Mindset with Marla Tabaka. Monday afternoons at 2, 1 Central on TogiNet.com. Marla believes that with the right mindset, anything is possible. Join us as successful life coach Marla Tabaka inspires you and her clients to explore, discover, and live your dreams by developing what she calls the $1 Million Mindset. Marla will inspire you to take action on your dreams and reveal secrets to success that will help you realize your own unique power. Tune into the $1 Million Mindset for heartwarming stories with Marla Tabaka. Learn tips and tricks to building a successful business and unlock the secrets to creating a happier, more balanced life through abundant thinking and attraction power. For more information on the $1 Million Mindset, go to our website, marlatabaka.com. That's MarlaTabaka.com. It's the $1 Million Mindset with Marla Tabaka. Monday afternoons at 2, 1 p.m. Central on TogiNet.com.
If you could live your life truly standing in a place of peace, joy, and abundance, wouldn't that make your heart soar? Now you can, with Lessons in Joyful Living, with your host, Kimberly Rinaldi, Mondays at noon Central. Kimberly Rinaldi, having created a highly successful coaching practice, now teaches Lessons in Joyful Living. She believes in empowering others, and that through it, you have the ability to break through any and all barriers, thus allowing you to reach your greatest potential and joyfully step into your life's purpose. What used to take weeks, months, or even years, she can now teach you in a matter of hours with her programs. For more on Kim and her show, go to our website, KimberlyRinaldi.com. That's RINALDI.com. Then join us for Lessons in Joyful Living with your host, Kimberly Rinaldi.
We're back with more great conversation on Military Mom Talk Radio.
Hey ladies, this is Sandra Beck, and I'm here with Robin Boyd, and we are talking with Lawanda Holliman. Now, she's a retired Army colonel, and she had two girls, 9 and 10, while she was on deployment, and she said something before the break, counseling, which was like music to my heart, because I really struggled, Lawanda, in the beginning, and the funny thing was I ended up going to counseling because my ex-husband and his new girlfriend were having issues and they were blaming it on me. So I went over to try to help the family situation. And it was like, a funny thing on the way to the loony bin. Oh my God, I am still going, 8 years later to the same counselor. And I was really nervous at first. I thought like I was going to get yelled at or I was going to, feel like a failure. And, my counseling sessions, without divulging anything too personal, I learned like why my kids were doing some things and, some tools that I could do differently or some activities I could do with them. Like we do these walk and talks. We pack a lunch, we walk up in the mountains and we talk about everything under the sun in a very neutral, it's not the whole, I'm going to sit at the foot of your bedroom. Well, honey, we have to talk, which is weird and creepy and, it's like tools. Like, we go to a nutritionist to learn about health. We go to a doctor to fix our headaches. When we have challenges, why don't we reach out for help?
I think part of it is what you talked about earlier, is that we feel like a failure somehow, and that because we weren't able to figure it out, there's this sort of reluctance to go and get help. And already our emotions are bruised. From, the reason we feel like we need counseling is because we have some bruised emotions or things aren't quite working out. But I would caution anyone to not let that ego get in the way of getting help. I mean, if you think about it, even the best basketball players, Michael Jordan had a coach, and golfers, Tiger Woods had a coach. And if we could just view this as a coach with the skill set to help you navigate through these difficult things that are just kind of uncharted ground. No, I mean, we didn't get married thinking, oh, I'm going to get a divorce. We thought it would be forever. And when it didn't turn out that way, so now we've got to recondition our thoughts and find that new place of normalcy for ourselves. And sometimes that can be difficult. And so I am an avid supporter of counseling, and don't ever hesitate, especially when those resources are available to you, to go get help.
Well, and look at the difference in your voice just with using the word coach versus counselor. A coach is like, yeah, get out there and do your best. Make that basket.
That's right.
And a counselor, just that word is like, oh my God, I'm a train wreck. Like, you just,
right.
It's a complete different, it's just a word.
Exactly.
But I want to ask you, you have your MBA, you have your MSS. What was your MOS when you first started in the military?
Okay. So my, branch was quartermaster, and that's they transitioned that to logistics. And what logisticians do is we make sure we get the right thing in the right place at the right time. So we ensure that all of our soldiers are equipped with what they need to do their jobs. Everything from, it depends on what your specialty is, but we take care of everything from making sure you have food. I love being the food service officer when I had that job because I could taste all the food. And in 2ID, I was in Korea, so I would taste all the food. I was the food service officer, so that was fun. But everything from making sure that they had uniforms, and those were set. The facilities were set up for that. Vehicles, you name it. If they needed it to operate, we made sure you got the right thing in the right place at the right time so that you were able to concentrate on your mission.
Well, now let's take, I'm just going to take your own words and not use them against you. I'm going to use them for you. Okay. You said, we make sure that soldiers are equipped to do their jobs. Would you say that your logistical training helped you with your children, which, we talk about the coaching or the counseling or the education. Like I go to counseling to get an education, not necessarily to get fixed, but that you, logistics for a military mom, are getting the children what they need, equipped, as you put it, to do their job, which is to grow up.
That's right. Absolutely. What I told them before was my job, and this is, I hate to sound like this hard-nosed woman. I'm not. My job is to train you to leave me. That is what my job is, because, and I want you to be prepared. And so while it may be difficult and you don't like some of the things you might have to endure, it's a necessary thing for you to do it, because we got to find your place of greatness, because I believe everybody has that place of greatness. For example, my oldest daughter, she is a kinesthetic learner. She has to learn by doing. So college is not necessarily her thing, but she discovered something that she was interested in, that she went to college. Now, my thing as a parent was to have available options, and you always want to keep your options open. And so we do have other options in the event she chooses to say, hey, this just doesn't work for me. My job is not to do your job for you, but it is to get you equipped and ready to do what you need to do. And so, yeah, I believe that logistics mindset and training was just right for me to be able to see things in that way.
Well, and there are some things, like, my kids were like middle elementary school to early elementary school when they first started going over to their dads. And that was a big trauma for my one son, my older son, who was 6-7 years old when that change started happening. He is not a spirit that navigates change well. I'm just going to put that out there. My other one rolls with the punches. One of them doesn't. And as any parent knows, your kids are profoundly different. And I found myself going back. I remember having my kids stand in the bathtub, and it was cold. It was like a cold night. And I'd have them stand up in the bathtub, and they were naked as blue jays covered in suds, and they were cold. And I'm like, okay. I needed them to say, I'm tough. I'm strong. I can do anything. And I'm like, and they would stand up and do that. They would shiver, and then they'd get down. I'd put the hot water, and they'd be like, and it was this fun training. But it's like, look, when you're cold, you will get warm again. Things change. You get out, you towel off. And it was so hard for me, but I found to go back to my kind of military resiliency training, because don't you think that your military training has taught you how little we actually really need in this world? You talk about putting things in your rucksack. What fits in your rucksack? What fits in your rucksack is what you need.
Right. Absolutely. And I travel like that today because I know that whatever I take with me, I've got to carry it. So I like to pack light, and my daughters have kind of adopted that somewhat, but absolutely. I think that I wouldn't trade that experience in the military, even though there were some difficult times and some separations that I would rather have not had to make. They all served a greater purpose, and that was to expand stretch my own way of seeing things and challenge my own thought process even.
Well, and when you were a little girl, what did you grow up dreaming to be?
See, that is something I think I probably thought I was going to be a lawyer when I was a little girl. In fact, I let go of that dream probably a few years ago because I was still kind of saying, oh, well, when I finish, I'll just go to law school afterwards. But I think that I just need to bloom where I'm planted.
Okay. I just think when I meet women who have military careers, they have such an open spirit to what takes them next. And that's what makes them very interesting. I have friends who wanted to be a nurse since they were the time of the nurse, and that is wonderful. Don't get me wrong. But it's more interesting to me when you're not sure what you're going to be when you grow up and your kids are going off to college and you're still not sure what you're going to be. I think you have so many wonderful gifts, Lawanda. I think you have so much to give to the world from your experience, from your education, and, from raising your girls. I think we can learn a lot from you.
Oh, I can learn a lot back. That's the beauty of living is, I expect to learn from people that I encounter, and I expect to add value to them. And so it works out to be win-win.
It is a win-win. And, when we talk about our experiences on the air like this, I want to be really clear. We're not here feeling sorry for ourselves. We're not here saying we're better than anyone else. We're just here saying we are women doing the very best we can, raising our children. And if we can share something that worked for us, if we can share, like the walk and talk, or the, your sister and you, how did you guys communicate? These things make it better for the rest of us, Lawanda, when we know that, not that this is ideal, that your sister was taking care of your kids while you were deployed. That makes it okay for some of us to say, you know what, she got through it. She was okay. Her kids are okay. It's going to be okay for me too. Because if you believe it's going to be okay, you have a chance. If you don't, you're dead in the water.
That's right. And we are living proof that, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. And if you don't feel that tough and like you can't go, get help. And it's okay to do that, because even though we are pretty strong-willed type women, we still needed the help. So it's okay to get help.
It is okay. And a lot of times help is just education. Like if you don't like the word help or you don't like the word counselor, go to somebody to get an education. We're not the first women in the world to get divorced. We're not the first women to serve overseas and, have to leave our children in the care for others. There's no point in everybody being pig-headed, saying, I can do this, I can do this. Why wouldn't you do it better, easier, faster with a little bit of knowledge? There are systems in place for our military families. Take advantage of them. There are give-an-hour programs. If you don't want to go within the military system, you can go out and get some support, get educated, make a difference. You'll feel a lot better for it. On behalf of Lawanda Holliman, you can look her up online. On behalf of Robin Boyd, this is Sandra Beck of Military Mom Talk Radio. We'll be back again next week.
Thanks for tuning in to Military Mom Talk Radio. Want more information? Check us out at militarymomtalkradio.com or find us on iTunes for more than 200 free episodes. Drop us an email or find us on Facebook. We are looking forward to another great discussion. We hope you'll join us on Military Mom Talk Radio.